Hello everyone, how are you doing? Today we are going to discuss strategies for cracking the SAT English reading section. Now, the reading section, you'll have to read a passage and you'll have to answer questions based on that. You will have 52 questions in that section and you will have to solve them in 65 minutes. And these 52 questions will be divided amongst approximately 9 passages. Now that we have got that straight, well, it can be more or less. It can be like 5 or 6 or 8 as well. Now, we've got that straight, let's get to the intricacies of it. So, what topics will you get in the passages? You can get history, social sciences, philosophy, literature, economics, science. So, you'll have to be careful about which you're more fluent with, or in which you have a flair, So, now step 1. What do you do when the test begins? You read the blurb. Now what is the blurb? The blurb is the small portion which is written above the main passage text. This small portion describes what is the passage about. It will help you get an idea. Now, after reading the blurb, you'll get the idea about what is the topic of the passage. And after you have done that, you can proceed to the next step. After you have chosen which topic you want to attempt. Now, let's say you want to go with economics because you're good at it, or maybe literature because you enjoy reading it. You gotta really enjoy reading the passage. And once you have done that, step 2. Now, step 2 is not reading the passage. You will not read the passage because you won't have time to read everything and all the passages in the test. So you'll have to use your time effectively. Read the questions. Read the questions and try to sort them according to their level of difficulty. And once you have managed to do that, now read the passage. Now, which questions should you attempt first? Now, there will be some questions in the test which will mention you which part of the passage the question is from, which paragraph, which line, or they'll ask for a synonym or antonym of a word from the passage. Those questions are easier to attempt. Now, you should always start with those questions because it will take less time. And once you have done that, now focus on the next questions. The questions which will require critical thinking, which will need you to think about the topic, which will need you to actually understand the text. Now you can read the passage. The whole passage. But before that, you must have solved all the questions which were from specific parts in the passage, like let's say paragraph 3 or let's say paragraph 4. You must have solved those questions, and after that you go to step 3. Read the whole passage and now critically think and answer. Now, whilst critically thinking and answering, let's assume that you know the passage by heart now. Like, you don't need to know it by heart, you just need to have the main facts in your mind so that you can think and answer whatever the question is. Now, once you have done that, step 4. This is a very important step, and you have to be careful about this one. Guess the answer. You gotta guess the answer in your mind without reading the options. Without reading the options, you have to guess the answer in your mind. Why? Because all the options, they are very similar to each other, and ETS will try to confuse you. The examination service people, they want you to get confused. They don't want you to get the right answer. So all the options are very similar to each other. And therefore, you must first guess the answer in your own head after reading the passage. Because that way, you will be more certain about what is the correct answer. And you are less likely to get confused by the variety of options made available to you. Now, once we have taken care of this step, that you have guessed the option and you still don't get the answer, like you're not sure which one's going to be the answer, but you've got the facts straight in your head. You gotta have the facts straight from the passage right in your head, and whilst you're handling the passage, it all must remain there. Go to step 5, and this is the last resort. Step 5 is read the options now. Well, now you'll have to do what I told you not to do and read the options. Now you have to determine the answer by method of elimination. You see option B, and you know that this cannot be the answer because it's clearly given stated contrary in the passage. Like a fact which is contrary to the fact stated in option B is stated in the passage. Option B is not the answer. Option C doesn't look likely either. Option D, again another contrary statement, not from the passage. Done. You're done. Like option B, C, D are not the answers, and therefore option A, however unlikely, has to be the answer because B, C, D are not the answers for certain. So therefore, step 5 is this beautiful thing called elimination. Once you have eliminated the wrong answers, what's left has to be the right answer. Because let's face it, the ACT is not going to give us answers which are outside the MCQ, can they? And you won't have to jot down any answers on your booklet, so yeah, it has to be the answer. Now there are some questions in which the option is all of the above. Now those questions are going to be a bit tricky for you, but yes, you have to read the passage and understand it. That part, it's all up to your reading skills. So now, how to read the passage. So basically the next step is, it's not a step, it's more like an advice for step 3. How to read the passage effectively so that you can answer any question that comes from there. Well, it's mostly up to you actually. You'll have to be careful, you'll have to mind what you're reading and underline in the booklet. Like as you go, you gotta underline any important thing you see, any important word, anything that's mentioned in the questions which you think might be useful. You gotta underline that all up and you gotta keep it in your mind as well. Now, if you've forgotten, then you can refer to your underlining. Also, you can maintain notes. Now, this might seem a bit time consuming at first, but you gotta practice. You gotta practice in hard copies of taking notes of the passage as you go. These notes are gonna help you immensely later on. Analyze the characters, because more often than not, they'll ask you to analyze the characters in a literary text. And analyze economic policies, the impacts, you gotta underline them, and you gotta keep them in your mind. Same related with psychology or science or any other topic that might come on the exams. Now once you have handled that, you can proceed to the SAT writing section. The writing section is mainly about drama, and in some of the questions there will be a passage given, and from that passage you'll have to pick out the grammatical errors, and even that will be underlined. So it's relatively easy. If you have the grammatical principles in your mind, it will be relatively easy for you to deal with this section. The important thing is knowing the grammatical rules, and for that there is this book which I might suggest, Blue Book of English Grammar and Comprehension, which will help you master the rules necessary for the ACT examination. And well, that would be that. Best of luck, and thank you.